says, wait a minute. The people who are telling you seek after a wizard, God says, should not a people seek unto their God? For the living, to the dead, to the law, and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Anybody, be it Harvard professor, Episcopalian priest, pastor or Sunday school teacher or youth minister, who would be so corrupt in their mind as to tell you, yeah, go read Harry Potter, it's like a picture of Jesus. Just think, when you see Harry, think Jesus. You have biblical evidence here that if they do that, there's no light in them. Which means they're not born again. The light of Scriptures does not shine in their wicked heart. Isaiah chapter 19, verse 3, the Bible says, "And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord." I'm going to stop right here. You know what God's saying? Because they've rejected the Bible. Get that King James out of here. That's an old archaic thing. We don't follow the old stuff. By the way, we're going to dig up wizardry, which is, archaic. God says, because this spirit fails in them, okay, I'm going to turn them over to seek after idols and charmers and familiar spirits and to wizards. It's a judgment of God. Article out of Christianity Today. Here's what it says. Harry Potter is here to stay. As part 2 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows opens in theaters worldwide this month, we have reached the final chapter of sorts. It's a phenomenon that began 13 years ago with the release of the first installment of J.K. Rowling's series. I'm a Potter pundit who has written and edited as many books about the Hogwarts saga as there are novels in the said series, so you would think I'd be sad to see the tale of the boy wizard come to an end. But I'm not, because the tale is not ending. Harry Potter is here to stay. What makes me think that Pottermania will not go the way of the hula hoop and pet rock is the remarkable ripple effect of Harry's 7-year battle with the Dark Lord. The Hogwarts saga has reshaped our ideas of what a story can and should do, and writers and filmmakers have and will continue to respond to this new set of audience expectations. He talks about Rowling's literary genius. He says, with sales of well over 400 million copies, dwarfing all published works not written by God or Chairman Mao, the Harry Potter series is the shared text of our time. You know what he's kind of saying? The Harry Potter series is kind of like the new Bible. Okay? Rowling's creation has infused the imaginations of generations of readers, children's parents and grandparents. The 4,100 pages in its 7 books have been turned into 8 Warner Brothers movies, becoming the most successful film franchise ahead of Star Wars and James Bond. Notice now what he says. This cultural tsunami suggests Harry Potter is not a passing fad. Rowling's storytelling reveals traditional artistry with symbols and themes borrowed from Dante, Shakespeare, the Inklings. That is C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien is who the Inklings are, and other literary greats. Most remarkably, Rowling uses 3 literary devices that are hallmarks of the series. Number 1, a complex yet nearly invisible ring composition. Number 2, an alchemical drama. We're going to talk about that. Number 3, an engaging picture of the faculties of the soul. He says Stanton Linden in Dark Hieroglyphics says that Shakespeare, Donne, and Milton used the vocabulary and images of alchemy to present allegories of Christian transformation. In alchemy, the darkness of lead becomes illumined and enlightened to become gold, a solid light of the world, and the alchemist's heart is restored to Edenic perfection. As a literary medievalist, Lewis, he's talking about C.S. Lewis, used the alchemy motive most obviously in his Space Trilogy. I read that in high school. In the world of alchemy, the 3 movements of transformation are known as black, white, and red stages. The space trilogy parallels these stages as we witness the spiritual dissolution, purification, and perfection of Ransom, the saga's hero. Now, alchemy, and these three stages of alchemy, did you catch that? He said C.S. Lewis used it, and he said other writers have used it, like Dante and Shakespeare, and he said now J.K. Rowling uses this theme of alchemy. And alchemy, according to Christianity today, I don't know about you, but I kind of like Christianity of yesterday and Christianity of tomorrow, but I do not like Christianity of today. Christianity today is promoting Harry Potter and the alchemical message. Alchemy basically says, oh, we're going to turn lead into gold. But that's not really what it's all about. But I want you to remember these ideas of lead and gold, because it actually means that alchemy says we're going to turn mortals, these sad little mortal creatures, into immortals, into gods. We're going to give them the mind of the gods, and they're not going to die anymore. If we go back to Genesis chapter 3, that is exactly what the serpent promised Eve, getting her away from the law of God to his own version of life without death and mortals becoming like the gods, knowing good and evil. And he describes in this article really the basis of alchemy, that says you have to dissolve it first, and then you have to rebuild it. Think about September 11th, the buildings literally dissolving right in front of our very eyes. Now they're rebuilding a new one in its place. And this is alchemy at its core. In fact, we have our character Baphomet. You remember him? Who just happens to have the words salve and coagula written upon his forearm. Salve means dissolve. Break it down. Bring it down. Let's dissolve the old world so we can build a new world order. And it has everything to do with what alchemists refer to as the Philosopher's Stone. See, the Philosopher's Stone is the key agent of transformation. The Philosopher's Stone, in fact, the very first Harry Potter book outside of America was called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It was about alchemy. It was about transformation. And this writer in Christianity Today said it's about the transformation of Christianity. And, you know, we hear that a lot. In fact, we're seeing it with our very eyes. The Philosopher's Stone transforming something. Something is changing the church. Something is changing our country. Something is changing the world we live in. It's changing the definition of marriage. It's changing the language that we use. And it's all about a paradigm shift that brings about change. This Philosopher's Stone is often seen as a red stone. Okay, that's the Philosopher's Stone. A ruby stone was seen in the Wizard of Oz. It was about a change, a transformation. The ruby slippers were the alchemical sign of dissolving one way and coagulating into a new way, or a paradigm shift. And maybe the little pentagram there of the good witch, which I don't believe. The good witch, and the alchemical symbol of the star, the pentagram, the number 5, the red ruby stones on the ruby slippers follow the yellow brick road, the golden road that leads you to the Wizard of Oz, who basically his job is to tell you that the change that you need to make is really already inside you. That's a theme that we hear a lot about. Getting back to the alchemical play of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the number 77, the number 33, him being 46, number of chromosomes in our DNA. In all of that story, here's something that I found out very, very, very interesting that I think plays into this theme of alchemy, transformation, a paradigm shift. The guy that killed Kennedy, Okay, maybe to keep him shut up. I don't know. Maybe that was what it was all about. His name, we called him Jack Ruby, but that was just a shortened version of his name. His real name was Jacob. Okay, that's where the name Jack comes from. Jacob Rubenstein. You know what the name Rubenstein means? Ruby stone. Here we have a character in this play of JFK actually named after the ruby stone, or the philosopher's stone of alchemy. I bet you didn't know that. I figured that out. This idea of gold. I want you to think about the idea of eating the God. In the Roman Catholic Church, it's called transubstantiation, where you take the God, the sun God, and you actually eat or ingest the God. Remember in the wilderness when the Israelites were worshiping the wrong God, they took all of their gold. Remember what gold represents in alchemy. It represents the God. And they took the gold and they fashioned a calf, a bull, a beast. They made a beast, and they were worshiping the beast in the wilderness. Moses comes down with the law and says, we're not going to... And you know how Moses dealt with it? This is by the hand of God, I truly believe. Moses took the God and he crushed it down into powder, mixed it with their water, and said, drink it. The curse upon the Israelites is that they were ingesting their God, who was made of gold. Book of Psalms, chapter 115. Notice what the Bible says. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat. They that make them are like unto them, so is everyone that trusteth in them. You know what the judgment of God is that those who are seeking after the idol, the gold, those who seek after that, they're going to turn into that. They're going to turn into stone. Remember what happened to Naboth, the evil husband of Abigail, who ends up marrying David? Remember what God did to Naboth? Or actually Nabal. Nabal, his heart became stone. And he stayed like that for 10 days. And then he died. They that worship them shall be as them, the Bible says. Literally, mankind is going to be transformed into the gods that they are serving. Gold, silver, and stone. Who have ears and cannot hear. They have eyes and cannot see. Legs, and they can, you ever thought about this? You know, when they have an idol, that's their God, and their God has legs, but for some reason the idol has to be carried about by men. People should wake up and understand that the gods that they're serving are just simply dead. By the way, the philosopher's stone in alchemy is the exact same, you know, Albert Pike will tell you this, the philosopher's stone is the exact same thing as the capstone. On the back of the $1 bill, you have the capstone on the pyramid. It's still a stone. It's still the idol shepherd. And it's what all the world is seeking after. And by the way, we have the New International Version of the Bible that decided to take the phrase foundation stone and replace it with capstone. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 8, now to you who believe this stone is precious, but to those who do not believe, the stone this builders rejected has become the capstone, not the cornerstone of the foundation, the capstone. We have an alchemical Bible that is transforming Christianity not to follow after the cornerstone of Jesus Christ, but the capstone of the Illuminati. And a stone that causes men to stumble and a rock that makes them fall. They stumble because they disobey the message, which is also what they were destined for. God said in Exodus chapter 20, verse 23, ye shall not make me gods of silver, neither shall you make unto you gods of gold. This philosopher's stone is also related to, in Hindu, it's related to 3 gems which represent the initiation into Buddhism, enlightenment. Notice here, these